Watch! Hey, all right. Welcome back to your viewers and fellow watchmen to the second watch. It's Friday. It's been a long week. I'm very happy to be here. Gary, how's your week been?
I'm
Oh, it's
having a
that good,
coughing
huh?
fit. Sorry, I said some ice go down the wrong way. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's Friday night. The week is over. I can feel school's about to start again.
I know
Life
it's
is
on the
getting
horizon.
busy.
Yeah.
Bro, I got all the kids in football, 3 different teams. I'm all over the city of Austin every day, Monday through Friday. But I was able to get some gaming in. Hey Matt, were you able to get some gaming in this week?
I did, and I saw that you had gaming in because we had games at the exact same time on our server. I was further play testing my revamp of Return of the White Wizard Shadow Dark adventure that will be part of a zine. I've decided, I guess it's going to be a zine, hopefully published by September. 3 adventures, 3 different takes on horror, 3 different uses of some of the core mechanics of Shadow Dark to make a horror game. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. And yeah, it was fun. I got to play with Matt Barninger. He's Paladin on my server. I haven't played with him in a while. He's a good dude. We had a lot of fun. But you were playing at the exact same time.
I
What were you?
was. Well, I was the me and Reed, Racketeer on the server. Um, Played a little OSC, some New World, the West Marches campaign, and it was the second time I've played with just one person. It was kind of rad. It was good the first time, it was good the second time, and yeah, I liked it. It was a lot of fun. It would have been more fun if more people were there. Um, I can't say anything about what happened. You got about 5 days, I think, something like that.
Right on, right on.
But yeah, so I did get a little gaming in, but I, you know, yeah, it was
Yeah.
cool.
Well, good. We do. Oh, go ahead. You were going to say
No,
something.
no, no. I was gonna do what you're doing. Go ahead.
All right. Well, what I'm doing is going to talk a little bit of news because we last week we had some friends of the of the show on, 2 of which Flint Fireforge and Erudite DM. Very happy that they joined us to talk about DM advice, the bad kind, and both of them, Flint and Erudite, actually just published something to Drivethrurpg. Erudite's got 2 monsters for Shadow Dark. Pay what you want. And Flint's got a OSR compatible, system compatible sandbox adventure. I haven't had a chance to download the stuff and look at it, but if you go to their websites, because I think they actually get to keep a little bit of the money, more of the money than Drive-Thru would keep or take or give them. Please check that stuff out for them. And then the Red Room has published Soldiers of Fortune. If you ever wanted to play the A Team or was it well, any of those cool freaking 80s television shows, that's what that game's all about. So go check out the Red Room. And Lamentations of the Flame Princess's latest releases just dropped 24 hours ago, and they're starting to go like hotcakes. This is some of the best work I've seen in a while, including Zach S is back with the Nebulith, which looks absolutely fantastic. It's all at the EU store. I've already ordered, so I can't wait to get it. But
Here
anyway,
comes the hate.
oh yeah,
Sorry.
well, on that note, I shouldn't actually. I'll mention this later. I'll bring this up later because I had a really awful idea for the show. And then Gary mentioned before we got on that North Texas Con, the tickets are like almost gone. So if you want to go to probably one of the better, smaller conventions, you better get on it
Well,
because
the weekend passes. I think I was 485, which
yeah,
means
I
they're doing 500 or 600.
I think they might have actually be going up another 100. So I think there's probably
Maybe
100 plus left. Yeah.
100 plus left. Okay. So I mean, it's not like the Rolling Stones. It's not like they're going to keep you out of the building. You'll be able to get a day pass or whatever. But those weekend passes are nice because they will let you sign up for games in advance. And I wasn't able to do that this year. So there were some games that I would have liked to have gotten into but missed.
Yeah. You'll still have fun.
So,
I mean, you had a blast. So.
Oh, I had great fun, and I could have played games all day long if I wanted. It was very easy to find a game in North Texas Con, so don't worry about it.
All right.
What else you got, Matt? Because we got someone waiting. I'm excited. Let's do this.
Yeah, I know. I got nothing. Let's get Matt Tapp in here.
Bring him on. Yeah,
there he is.
Howdy. Hey, how y'all doing?
We're doing great, man. It is good to have you here. Real quick, Matt wrote, produced, whatever you call it. You've put together a product, which is a game called Barrows and Borderlands. If somebody doesn't know what this game is, give us the quick breakdown. Give me the elevator pitch. What is your game?
Yeah, so it's a weird science fantasy, old school style role-playing game set in a dark radioactive wasteland of magic, black powder, and dragons. I usually describe it as Solomon Kane riding a velociraptor shooting a ray gun at a sorcerer.
I love that. That is incredible. That is incredible. Hey, I see some super chats coming in.
Yeah.
And I know that we've got to get to them. North Texas Con did their tickets early. Yeah, they did them like the fucking day after the con was over almost. I don't know the exact date.
Yeah, I'm actually
Disco Barbarian said something about yard dogs. He loves us, and I love you, Disco.
All right, $5 super chat. Disco Barbarian, yard dog brothers and sword sisters. End of the week means you got second watch. Hope everyone's week is going well. Chilling and painting more Stonestein. Oh yeah, that's right. He's got his dwarf thing going on. Yeah, very nice, dude. Disco, cool. Thank you so much, and everyone, because I mentioned this on X earlier. Disco has been such a huge supporter of a lot of us in this space. Give this guy a follow on X if you haven't. The guy's got some great barbarian art and other cool art that goes up there, and he's just a fun guy to follow.
Okay, and just so everybody knows, we're gonna save the super chats up because I want to hear all about this game. I'm so one of the first conversations me and Matt ever had about gaming, I brought up to him, I said, one of the things I don't like about modern gaming is that, let's say you walk into a game store and someone's playing a role-playing game. I don't care which one, just pick a fucking role-playing game. It looks like they're goddamn doing homework. There's nothing but books and paper, you know what I mean? And these big textbook looking things, and it doesn't look fun. You bring a girl into a game store that doesn't know what's going on, it looks like y'all are doing math together, right?
Yeah.
We know it's fun. But I think there's an aesthetic that earlier products had that people ignore because they just want the rules. What's your, I love your box set. What was the thinking on that? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so when I was making the game originally, it was just for me and my gamers. So, in its original form, it was just like a little pamphlet, quick start guide. And I'd been playing with a lot of these guys for the past decade. So since we were like starting high school, one of the draws for me towards the older stuff was the art. It was the visuals of it, and it felt like I was cracking into something ancient. And so when I was making it, though, I was like, you know what, I want when somebody opens this, I want it to feel like that time they opened their OD&D box back in the 70s. And so it had that feel, that weird handmadeness to it, and the art was like a little rugged, a little like not overexposed, but like running it through, being scanned and everything.
Like it had been Xeroxed, maybe even off one of those old hand mimeographs. Exactly. I'm not old enough to remember that, but I do remember that.
Well, yeah, I think that like a big chunk of the game is the aesthetics of it, because that's the first thing you see. So
I agree. I completely agree. I think that everybody says don't judge a book by its cover, but I think you can, in role-playing games, you can tell an awful lot. Like, there is some books I look at and I think, if they have do they really think somebody's going to spend money with this, whatever. It's art is very important, and it sets the mood, I think, especially for the game master when they're reading the rules and they want to take it to their players and they got to make the pitch. Here we go. Not to glaze Matt, but Barrows and Borderlands is an incredible system, and Matt is able to weave some incredible tales while chipping away at the Sisyphean task that is hurting players. Robert, that's not glazing at all. No glaze there, bro.
You should say more things like that, Robert. No.
Well, I think there's a lot I wanted to talk about, and but I think Robert gives a great segue to something that you've been doing since I've been introduced to your game. And I'm gonna brag. This was like the last box of the first printing.
Yeah.
I remember the email exchange. I was just like, is this still available? And you're like, there's one left. It's mine. Yeah, I think you're right. The aesthetics is fantastic. And Gary and we argue about this a lot. I am that guy who's like, just give me the mechanics. That's really what I care about. But I'm not so stubborn that I can't admit when I see something. Ooh, not bro, I'll cook. I know how to use spice. I just know how to use it sparingly. Okay. Okay, but I look at this and I think we're like an old married couple. I say this like once a show. Anyway, I see something like this and I go, ooh, and you're right. This does like put you in the right mindset for what this game is. And I want to get into what you're doing with your Discords in a minute here, but
yeah,
because that's just phenomenal too. I'm a lurker, sadly. I have a character made up. I just haven't had a chance to play. But I wanted to ask you, like, so at the risk of sounding like the old man shouting at clouds meme, I'm an older guy. I see a lot of younger players your age. They're like really tapped into that brand, the D&D brand. And here you are tapping into something from ages, literally a half century ago. And you're not just doing some retro clone, like you're actually adding to that, like which totally is near and dear to my heart because I think kit bashing is part of what it is to be a dungeon master. So like, why OD&D? Like, what are your influences? And I know this is kind of a broad question, but like, walk us through, like, how did this come to be?
Yeah, so I mean, when we started playing D&D, that was the 5th edition back in high school. I was 15 at the time. So when 5th edition came out, and when I know make you feel a little old there for a second.
I know, but, no. It's the Matt Damon meme. You like ages.
It's like slowly, but
go ahead.
But like we started with that because one of our friends had the starter set, and it just we had fun for years. We never really read the rules, so we got the set and we were like, okay, here's a game where you can be a hero or whatever. And we got as far as making characters, and it took us a few years to really know what we were doing. But even then, it never really matched the fantasy that I wanted. So I grew up watching like Conan the Barbarian with my dad, older movies from his childhood. And then, later got into older fantasy like Fawford and Grey Mouser, Lovecraft, Clark Ashton Smith, that sort of stuff. And so that was what I was really looking for. And so we started moving further back. I mean, I think it was during the OGL switch that we made the switch over to older systems. And then we eventually went back and back and back and back, and then wound up with original. Because that original was it was like the perfect skeleton game to really mess with.
Right.
And we wanted weird stuff in our game. I wanted black powder weaponry, and then I wanted aliens and spaceships, but I still wanted it to be fantasy and these weird sorcerers in their tower. Because that's what the games we were trying to run were like. And then we wound up here. So, and yeah, I've got huge table of players. I mean, in person, we've got 15 to 20 that show up to our open table game. And then we've got like 50 on the Discord now. I don't even know how many it's up to.
Oh shit, it's gonna be more. Don't drop the link here.
Hey, go ahead, y'all come join. We've got a few referees now, so makes my job a little easier.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, we sort of naturally progressed into more of a one-to-one sandboxy style game, because with so many players, it's not like you can really do much else than that.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I'm curious.
Go ahead.
Real quick, when you were talking about you guys just kind of, you wanted the older games, and you kind of started kit bashing those. I'm curious, like, what was that like? Was it a player coming to you saying, I want this, I wish there was a character class like this? Were you breaking down classes to figure out what was going on? Like, what did that process look like?
Yeah, I mean, we've been kit bashing since the first day, because like I said, we never really read the rules to begin with. And by the time we did read the rules, we were already changing stuff that we didn't like. We already wanted to add things to the game. We had, at one point, we had morphed the game into a superhero game. I mean, well, it's 5th edition, so it might as well be superheroes. Yeah, exactly. So we had morphed it into that, and that was pretty fun for a little bit. And then, I mean, once we got away from 5th edition, though, we play like 30 systems a year. Even now, I don't just play Barrows of Borderlands in our campaign. So it's the core system, but we've got in our campaign world, we have portals to other places. So in our little solar system, we've got Hyperborea floating around Saturn, so you can go fly, and then, okay, well, let's play the Hyperborea system.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. And then
wait a second, hang on. Hold on a second.
I told you, Gary. I told you, because he touched upon this in the RPG Pundit.
Fucking brilliant. Oh, hang on just a second. So what you're telling me is that as the dungeon master, when you get bored with whatever system, let's say you get bored with your own system. Dude, I played music. You get bored playing shit, right? I get it. You're like, well, I want to play Hyperborea. So those players, you're not just rolling up new characters. Their characters are going through a portal where the mechanics of the universe change.
Yeah.
That is awesome, bro.
That
is a great idea. That's something that is so natural, and it seems so like, anyway.
One of our portals is to Tecumel from Empire of the Petal Throne. And one of the things is when they enter the portal, they lose all their gear, and then they roll up a Empire of the Petal Throne character to transfer over. But then anything they take from Tecumel, they can bring back into B&B. So, and then we've got a portal to Arduin. So, because we're really getting into that. So
well, that's awesome. And so I've been on a kick for a little while now. Bacon and I, he's in the chat, better with Bacon, excuse me. We've chatted about this. I personally think the game master is more than just a referee. I know that's a good moniker, because you do want to be like a neutral arbiter of the rules during the game, but leading up to the game, you're so much more than that. Like, you're creating things and you're putting stuff together. And I mentioned this to Gary earlier tonight before you jumped on. I said, this guy's doing something that is antithetical. That's not the right word. It's just contrary to what a lot of talking heads in the space have been saying for the past few years, where they're very rigid. Like, if you're playing this game, this is the game you're playing. And here you are. And I remember hearing you talk a little bit about this. You're just bringing in everything and letting it and allowing it to influence you and improve your game. And I would dare I say, not to get argumentative, but you're the counter argument. Like, seriously, like, what you're doing is very like the counter argument. There's no issue with lingua franca, rules is written bullshit. You're doing something that's like interesting, and your players are loving it and they're getting into it. And what's really blowing my mind is, like, you started playing and you didn't know the rules, And that's kind of like the meme, right? Like, oh, 5e players don't know the rules. And yes, they should read the rules and learn how to play. But like you did something, you've allowed your imagination, I guess, and sense of creativity to kind of like explore this new hobby. Let me ask you this. Like, did you intend to... Well, no, that's not the right question. Did you know what you were doing when you started like mashing everything together? Like, did you have an intention to like create this world? Like, or did it just sort of like organically come out?
I like how you didn't even finish your question. He's like, no.
Yeah, it just sort of happened. I mean, the thing is, we're gamers. We like to game, and we don't like playing the same game. Same as like your board game night is not always going to be Monopoly. You're going to pick up other board games. And I see the whole campaign, because a campaign is not for us. It's just one thing. The campaign is our gaming group. So when we're playing something, we're always on Barrows and Borderlands, and it never stops. When we hop to Empire of the Petal Throne, it's adding to the campaign world. All of my, however many players I've got now, have 6 to 10, sometimes 15 characters. Yeah. And they're all doing their own thing. The whole economy of my world is ran by the players. I don't really have merchants in the city. I have players that went, I want to make a merchant caravan and figure out what they have and all that. And I see it all as kind of like a free Kriegspiel world going on. So, and I know you brought up like the referees a bit more, but like, you know, in that initial setup, yeah, I was getting things together, but as things came along, I just have a player go, hey, did you hear about this game? To it, and y'all can go check it out, or something like that. So it's really the players drive a lot of that stuff. And occasionally, you know, it'll be me that I'll find some cool game. I'm like, hey guys, I want to run this system for a little bit if y'all want to come check this out. But even then, I have played by the book before, and we've done that in the past, but it was very, very short-lived before we decided, you know what? The rules are like in Pirates of the Caribbean. They're more of a guideline than a set of rules, you know,
more of a guideline.
Yeah. Yes. So, because we just play games. I have ran at the same table somebody that was running a Hyperborean character sheet, a B&B character sheet, and a Barons of Brownstein 2d6 character sheet.
The fuck on.
Oh my God, I'm loving it.
I haven't even had a second. I'm about to go refill my drink.
I might.
So what you were telling me during the same session, everybody sitting around the table together at the same table, Barrows and Borderlands, different systems simultaneously.
Oh yeah. We do that quite a bit, actually. I have one dude that shows up to the table and he just is like, hey dude, I'm going to use my Barons of Brownstein sheet today. I'm like, cool, whatever. I know what you're going to be rolling. So, I mean, and when we start brand new players at our open table, because sometimes people go and they go, oh, what are you guys doing over there? I'm like, well, come sit down. And then they don't have to make a character. I just look at them. I go, all right, you're playing, what's your name? John. You're playing John today. All right. What do you have? A sword of some spells? And then they just get into it. I don't bother them with the rules yet. I go, what are you carrying? Okay, cool. Let's just play.
Yeah. Real quick. I just before I lose this thought, I don't know what you do for like work or real money or anything like that. But I have always thought there should be somebody at every game store that's just running a game all the time. And you can walk in and be like, hey, I want to play. And they're like, all right, cool, sit down. You need to open a game store, my friend. You should not have anything to do with the business. You should just run a game all the time and be making money off of it. That's incredible. I don't have the balls to do that.
The game store down here is really great. We've got the Green Dragon over in Charleston, and they've been open since 75. And you know, so I do videography as my main job, but you know that's gig work. So I've got time in between or whatever. I'm always running around doing something. but in between gigs, we go to the store and we do exactly that. We just run games.
Yeah.
All of my sessions, so we have one scheduled game that's just once a month, and then everything else the players schedule in between. Sometimes we'll show up and play a war game or a Stein style game. We do a little bit of that. But you know, it is. We kind of hang out at the game store, and you know, the game store over there in the Green Dragon, they do a lot of like little events too. So every Monday they've got like come and learn how to paint miniatures, all that stuff.
I wish we've got some really great. I'm in Austin and we have some great game stores, but I mean, other than Magic and like Warhammer, you know, there's not really a big community at the game stores.
Yeah, I have that same problem where I'm at. There's Magic the Gathering and other card games like Pokemon are like the big money makers for the game stores, and RPGs are sort of, you know, in the corner, which is unfortunate.
Well, you know, I wouldn't say I was unique in this either, because, you know, Arduin back in 1977, they had a whole multiversal thing going on with Hargrave's game. And so, you know, like it's an idea of sort of walking up with a character. And I had heard from the guy that owned the game store too, Scott. He came over to our table, and you know, he loves what we do over there, but he was basically saying that when he was first opening the store and running games over there, people would show up with their character sheets from all over whatever table they were from and be like, hey, I brought my 6th level wizard to the table, so we're just gonna play with this, and they just make it happen. They who knows what game system, probably D&D, but they also played Empire of the Petal Throne and Arduin and all that sort of stuff. So
some years ago in the OSR during the Google Plus days, Jeff Raintz, who's like one of the like original OSR guys, he and Zach S and a few others created the snail or flail snail concept, which really I shouldn't say they created, but it sounds like they borrowed from like the back in the 70s, where as long as you had something that was like remotely compatible to D&D, you can bring it to the game. And it was like this like open world sort of concept that they were trying to do, which I think, I mean, whether or not it was successful, I couldn't tell you, but I mean, it was a thing for a while, right? And it says to me like what you just described, that and what was happening in the 70s tells me like there was a lot more going on with the sort of the experimentation of what this whole concept of the role-playing game is. And I want to go back to something you said about, you know, you just have new players show up. What's more important to you, like a new player like grasping the rules or having a basic understanding of the rules, or just willing to step into a character and participate in that emergent story?
Number one for our table is, are you having fun? So we get all types at our table. We've got the guys that like to role play. We've got war gamers. We've got Magic the Gathering players. I'd say half of my players have never played a role-playing game before, Barrows and Borderlands. So when they come up, I'm like, well, what do you normally like to play? And they might say something like, well, with Magic the Gathering, I go, okay, cool. So you know how you build your deck or whatever. So we're going to start you off with just, you know, you're just going to play you this first session. But, you know, it's kind of like building a deck. You're going to build a person that you're going to role play as. And then just get them right into it. You know, as long as they're having fun, we're having a good time. I do like to keep my game pretty deadly. We have a track record of we have yet to have a session where a character has not died.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it just is what it. They're also crazy. So they just will walk right into the dungeon. They'll go fight the giant monster, and you know, I'm not going to warn them other than, hey, this thing looks pretty deadly, dude. Like there's skulls outside the cave, whatever.
Right.
And they're like, awesome, we're about to die in a really glorious way.
Yeah, so, yeah. You could go into great lengths of describing the blood and gore dripping from the talons and all this other stuff. And then they're like, yo, I'm gonna roll for initiative, and you're like, oh, all right, I guess I'm gonna get a TPK tonight. You know,
we're going into it, and
yeah.
I've got a lot of good sport players too. Oh, this is an interesting question.
Yeah, I'm going to read it. Regarding character play, does the interplay of different systems of various complexity levels, multiple games, character sheets, require a large amount of time making the rules work together? That's a good question. How do you do that when someone shows up with an Arduin character for your B&B game or whatever?
Yeah, I do think for the referee, it can take a little bit of experience. You kind of got to know. It's less about knowing the mechanics of a game and more about knowing how something functions. So, if I've got two games here, I've got Barons of Brownstein. All right, it's a 2d6 system. You're not dealing hit point damage. It's a hit, and usually, the other guys are running Barrows and Borderlands. I know that the Barons of Brownstein guy, he's swinging a sword just like everybody else. So he's rolling whatever he needs to hit on his character sheet. And then I'll just tell him whatever dice makes sense to whatever the majority of the people are playing against this monster. So, yeah, it does take a little bit of sort of know-how on that end. But I wouldn't say it was hard. It's more so just how much work are you willing to put in?
Yeah. Okay. And then as a follow-up, does it at least affect the player's ability to understand what's being done by other players?
Yeah. So, especially like, let's say you're a new person at the table. You have no idea what classes exist in this game. You have no idea you don't know what my lore is or any of that stuff. Halfway through the session, you probably will have seen one dude shoot a laser beam, one guy cast a spell and miscast and blow himself up, and then one dude with a sword cut somebody in half. And at that point, I just look at you and I go, all right, well, what kind of thing are you wanting to play here? You just saw what everybody else did. As far as keeping things conjoined, I'd say 80% of the time they're using the Barrows and Borderlands rules when we're in that setting. But if it's usually like one or two players that are running a different system, and I just go, well, they're kind of doing something different. That's how their class functions, is usually what I say. So
that's fair. Yeah.
It kind of depends on how into it you are, because a lot of those new players, they're not ready to commit a monthly game or a weekly game or whatever else, and they just want to know what game you guys are playing. So I don't usually bother them with all those details, but
until they're like showing some level of commitment. Yeah, that makes sense.
Usually when they come to me and say, hey, I kind of want to do what that guy was doing in the game, and I go, okay, well, you can play this thing. Eventually maybe I'll send them the rules. They can make characters on their own, but this might be a little weird too, but we also use a lot of board games in our campaign.
I've heard you say this on another podcast. You talked about using the dungeon board game.
Yeah.
Explain, please.
So we use Dungeon's our favorite because we just love this board game. But a lot of times we'll have situations come up in game. Like, I don't pre-plan anything out, but if, say, one player is commanding an army, like he's a high level guy, he's got an army, he's got a castle, and then he has a siege happen on another castle in game, I might hit up everybody in the Discord and say, hey, you guys want to meet at the game store and run a war game today? And then that'll be what we're doing. Or let's say we're early to the session, or we're all just hanging out at the store and we don't have enough people necessarily for a party. I might pull out the dungeon board game and say, do you guys want to take your characters into a random dungeon, and we'll just play this board game, and you can leave with whatever treasure you got. I'll just say gold for silver or something, We also use Cosmic Encounters a lot for... Now, that one's a recent addition because I just got to play it for the first time at DaveCon, and I got kind of obsessed with it because it was a lot of fun. But we'll pull that board game out and be like, okay, you guys are the alien factions up in the sky. Conquer 5 planets or whatever. And then at the end of those board games, we'll update the world. But we have some mini games too. So if y'all are in a dungeon and y'all come up across like a really big, crazy dungeon door, I might pull out the Mastermind board game. If y'all remember that one.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here, I'll grab that one. That
I'd have to
one's
see
a fun
it.
one.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
I've got it right here. Let's see.
This kid,
Dude, this is literally the antithesis of everything that's been like on social media for the past few years. Anyway,
here, let me get rid of my weird, funky background.
Yeah, we don't mind your regular workshop or wherever you are. You're fine.
This is where the magic happens, guys. But yeah, no, the Mastermind.
Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah, you basically are just guessing colors and trying to get the combination that the other guy has said on the other side. So
yes,
I might pull this game out and say, all right, each of you gets to pick a color every turn, and then we'll see if y'all can get through this door. And all the while I'll be rolling like encounter checks and stuff. I don't use any game that can only be played with 2 people, because then it's boring. Everybody else has to sit there and watch.
Smart.
But you could use let's see. You're trying to disarm a thermonuclear warhead. You might as well pull out Jenga and say every turn each of you pulls out a block, and then if it falls, the bomb goes off.
That's brilliant.
You guys have to get
real
quick.
I gotta ask this real quick. This is the rules lawyer coming out. So I'm playing a thief in your game, and you pull out Mastermind for like this like massive lock on a door. And then I look at you and go, yeah, but I have a percentage chance of opening locks.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
All the other doors in the dungeon you've been unlocking, lock picking. This is like the weird puzzle door. But even then, you're a thief. Okay, maybe I'll make a ruling in the moment saying you can pick an extra color. Like if you get it wrong, I'll let you have a repick or something.
That's
it's all rulings in the moment.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'll be right back. I know we're supposed to be talking about your badass game, and I haven't really I haven't read it, so and I will confess to that. But it's OD&D, so I get a basic idea of what it is. But everything you have said has brought up so many more questions. First question: you being a younger gamer, I say younger because I'm old as shit. You're a grown ass man.
26.
20, yeah, you're a grown ass man. Was it because of your game shop that was it having access to the older games, or was it what spurred you start with 5e and now you're putting out a product that is definitely not that? What happened?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of it was just me kind of being fed up with 5th edition and Googling stuff online, like what else is out there, and then
the OSR had already started happening at that point, so you you saw that. Okay,
so the OSR guys had already been making some cool stuff. I mean, Swords and Wizardry, Hyperborea had already been out, and so I was able to see stuff like that. But also there's things like Secrets of Blackmoor, the documentary. That was a big one. When I watched that, I was like, it almost completely changed the way that I saw the game.
Yeah, it rewired a few things for me. In fact, every time I watch it, it rewires. Matt can attest to this, that I have, I was a real Rule Zero kind of story gamer, whatever, always making sure that, whatever that bullshit is, to the point where like it got really heavy and I didn't want to do it. I retreated to old school essentials. I've been in that for like 3 years. Rules is written, procedural down the line. Just started the West Marches campaign, but I'm starting to, now that I'm kind of comfortable with where I'm at, I'm looking at these other games, and your trajectory sounds a lot like mine. We didn't know what the rules were those first couple years. We just, everything was roll under, honestly. We were rolling under, and the day we figured out FACO was like, whoa.
My players, oddly enough, prefer it.
I think FACO is it's perfect. I don't think it needs to be changed. And also, I think I will tell you this, I love FACO even more after Alchemic Raker's Hellmarch, even though it doesn't have anything to do with FACO. It's just that everything makes so much more sense after reading Hellmarch. But I want
Yeah.
to get it back to you. What I'm saying, Matthew, is what my question is you seem to have this. Not everybody would be interested in the older games, and not everybody would have access to them. And it seems as if you also kind of had a stage in this game store, which must be one of the best game stores in the country. So you had time, you had access, curiosity, and you just went for it. Is there a big gaming community there? Did you ever feel like you were bucking the trend, or what? How did it? When you just tell me about it, dude. I'm fascinated.
So I don't want to say that we're the only old school gamers in Charleston. I just haven't met the other guys. So, but most of the people that play at the Green Dragon wind up playing. Honestly, nowadays it's Magic the Gathering. I feel like a lot of game stores are like that now, which is, it's not a bad game. I'll play it occasionally with my friends. I kind of got out of the whole like buying packs thing, but
Yeah.
I've got a couple decks, and if they want to play, I'll play. But and the other people that are playing tabletop games, like role-playing games, they'll be playing 5th edition or Pathfinder. And
Yep.
and we tried both of those games, but for us, I mean, obviously having a game store is a bonus. In my
Well, and
hometown,
it also sounds like the type of game store, because what I was saying before is I've got 3 or 4 game stores where I can find almost any product I might want, but they
Yeah.
don't foster. Nothing goes on in those game stores the way you guys have something going on in that game store.
Yeah, and that's the same where I'm at. Like the biggest one, Millennium, I mentioned earlier. I mean, they have disc golf and Legos just to kind of stay afloat. A lot of Warhammer 40K, a lot of board games and card games, and then there's this one section. I got a little excited a couple months ago when I walked in there and I saw the section expanded a bit, and I started seeing things like Pirate Borg. And then I asked the guys about Shadow Dark, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're looking into that." So I was like, "Oh sweet." There's a smaller one that's about 5 minutes from me, and that guy is tapped into the industry kind of like we are, and has a legit interest, but he's sort of stuck catering to who has been going there. So it's a lot of 5e, Warhammer, and card games. So yeah, I agree with Gary. I think it really depends on like what kind of culture they're fostering.
I was going to say the game store sounds like a big, because it's not something of all of the guests that we've had. You are the one who has been like, I've got this game store. This game. You know what I mean? It sounds like Cheers.
It is sort of the hangout spot.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm originally from a small town, and we didn't have a game store in our town growing up, from Straw. But and there's like maybe one person in here who will recognize what I just said. But in Charleston,
I'm small town Texas. I feel you.
Yeah. But well, my dad was from Charleston, and when I moved here, I found Green Dragon, and I told him I was heading to this game store. It's like, they finally have one. I live 10 minutes away from it. I'm good now. And he goes, "Well, what's it called?" And I go, "Green Dragon." He's like, "I went there when I was a kid." And he was getting all nostalgic about it. And then, the owners are really great. When I was talking about wanting to try older stuff, they were the ones that were like, "Go try out Empire of the Petal Throne. Go check out this thing. This is what we were playing when we were just getting into it." And I think now that their son Beowulf is sort of running most of the day to day, but Scott and Adriana, they still do painting sessions with the people. So it is sort of like a hangout spot for folks now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They're
That's
great.
I think places like that are just, they're incredible, because I could talk to you for hours about this, but it sounds like the gaming like upbringing, if you want to call it that you've had, has been really great. And Matt was right earlier when he said what you're doing is so antithetical to the read the rules is written. It brings me back to a time when, and this was a war game experience with older guys, where I walked into a room and I was like 10 or 11 with my uncle, and some old dude handed me a note card, an index card, and said, "Here are the rules." and he had obviously
Yep.
typed them up. Every one of them he had typed up for all the players.
Yeah.
And it just sounds like you come from that school that I thought didn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I just find that to be really impressive. So
Yeah,
congrats.
I want to just kind of jump off of that. Like, I find it refreshing, frankly. I can be a bit of a curmudgeon about some of this shit, but I do find it very refreshing because that's just never been my experience. Like I started with the red box and I didn't know the rules. Like the Metzger red box had this awesome intro adventure that kind of like walked you through it.
Original red box.
Oh, he's about to, isn't he? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
all right, I was afraid you were going to pull out something I didn't have. I was.
And it walked you through, and you had a basic understanding. And like Gary was saying earlier, it's like everything's roll under as you're trying to learn this idea of, that this ruling over rules concept, and things really changed in 2000 when 3rd edition came out. And I remember, all my friends were excited about it. Even I was, because I was like, holy crap. This is so much simpler. You have this algorithm, this formula for everything. And I thought it was so revolutionary, but I had this like sober moment. I remember I was in this shitty little apartment we were all sharing. And I just remember looking at my friends and I went, this really democratizes the game. That's what I said. And everyone was like, yeah. And I meant that as actually a bad thing. I'm like, the game master is losing so much here. And it's that ability to shape the experience to the table. And what you're doing, you're blowing my mind with all this like stuff about pulling out board games and stuff. That's what you're doing. And like I said, this is a counter argument to all those people who pshaw, hey, is everyone having fun? That's what we should be asking ourselves, because it's a game. Games are supposed to be fun. Like, if you're so wedded to like this like tunnel vision, like rules is written this way versus that way, you're shorting yourself and you're shorting your table. And I'm really impressed by you, man. Like, and I know we're supposed to be talking about your awesome game.
I'm waiting.
But this is also a channel about game mastery. This is also a channel about game mastery. And sir, you are demonstrating some game mastery here.
You ever seen Amadeus? You ever seen that movie?
I love that movie.
You know what I'm talking about? Salieri's all proud of himself, and then some punk ass kid rolls in and improves everything he's written. In like 30.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, that's beautiful, you motherfucker.
Yeah, no, I absolve you. I absolve you. I am the saint of mediocrity. Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, let's talk a little bit about let's talk about your game.
But before we move to it, I wanted to add a quick point to the end of that, though. But yeah, no, I mean, there are still game stores out there that are like that, though, not just in Charleston. I've got a buddy up in New York. There's one called in Niagara Falls. It's called the Red Dragon. That is also like that. Go visit the Red Dragon, because they're also like that. I want to say that they're sister stores, but I don't think the owners have ever met. But yeah, that's another good one. And there are a few that are still out there. And you brought up the basic set or whatever, but Barrows and Borderlands, just the campaign started with a primer of house rules for these. So we were running. Yeah. So
I'm a Lamentations guy, bro.
It started with Holmes and Lamentations, so we get like the guns and stuff. And then from there, I was like, I'm just going to tear all this up and change things and Metamorphosis Alpha and all that stuff. But
nice.
I've been having like this weird dream of writing up a 4-page D6 primer for players and just putting out there and saying, hey, I want to run this like D6-ish game. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. Who wants to play?
This is the original primer. It's only that. So, and it's just a couple pages. Like, I knew people weren't going to care about the lore, so I wrote like 2 pages of lore, and it was all big letters and stuff. And then it was like, here's where the game is different from the other game, but don't even worry about the rules because I'll tell you what you need to roll.
So for Barrows and Borderlands, it seems as if a lot of these ideas came from your actual game sessions, right? And
Yeah.
players and everybody working together, which leads me to believe that perhaps there's a lot of things that could be published that maybe aren't published yet. Is
Yeah.
that yeah?
Yeah. We've got
All right.
we've got quite a bit written in the background that I just have to make look pretty. Because that was the main thing with the core game when my players were like, "Hey, are you planning on publishing this stuff?" And I'm like, "No, not at all. I don't want to." And they went, "Well, you got to." So,
Yeah.
and then the game store was like, "Well, we'd put it on our shelf." So I thought, when I made the one that Matthew has, I thought that I was going to make 30 of those, and they were going to go on the shelves at the Green Dragon. That was going to be it.
Yep.
And I just thought that was going to be the whole thing. So, when they convinced me to publish it, I'm like, okay, you guys know I'm gonna have to make this like actually look good. I got to take the copyright art out of it. I got to do all this extra stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, you have to though. So
that's got to be such a great feeling, right? Like all this work that you put into a campaign, because I think that's the brass ring for a lot of us in the OSR. To have that moment, right? To have your players be like, yo, this is something worth looking into and doing. When you, I think I know the answer to this question. Like when you did the first printing, I mean, did you expect the reception from the OSR?
No, I only made 40 of those. Like so I guess what you could say is that's one of 40, but I didn't.
The last one.
Yeah, that's number 40 right there.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations, Matt. Matt's had a great gaming year. As I just want you to know,
I have
a great year.
Yeah, it's been good.
I really didn't know. Like I think a big push of it too was Griff Morgan, who did the Secrets of Blackmoor. I was bothering him on Facebook quite a bit because I was like, please help me. I can't find Strategos in anywhere. My players want to try it out. I can't find the rules. And he goes, well, you got to come to Dave Con. Wesley will be there and he'll have a copy of it. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I showed up though. And then I messaged him before I did. And I was like, oh, by the way, I don't know if you'll care, but I got my little house rules game and thought I wanted to share with you. And then immediately just started sharing it around. And he's a really nice guy. So, and so that was like the big initial push. And then I think you were the first unboxing of the game, the first video about it.
So cool. I didn't know that. Okay. Well, that's nice to know. Thank you.
So that
I had fun. But I was really excited to see this because a lot of people have been talking about OD&D, and rightfully so. I mean, because it's like, the I don't know what you call it, the first, right? And everything kind of derived. And again, the aesthetic aside, I mean, you were doing something OD&D plus. And people who've been following my channel know that I've been ringing this bell for a while. Like the OSR is going to kill itself if all it does is retro clones. Like you got to bring something more to the table. You've got to focus on like something new and interesting, and that's what this does. That's what this does. And it also made me eat my words a little bit because it's an OD&D clone, but it's OD&D clone. I'll let you speak in a minute, sir. My point is like this is the kind of thing I'm looking for. I think the OSR should be focusing on. Go ahead, Gary. I'm done.
So to all of my peers who are gradually transforming into grumpy old fucking men, the OSR, is it even really it's fucking 20 years old now. Like, is it even really like, I get it. You like old games. Some people like old games. Some people like, you know what? Monopoly's fucking old, man. Dungeons and Dragons is 50 years old now. It's just the whole I don't know. The whole idea of
properly understood, the OSR is more of about a design philosophy. That's where I agree with RPG Pundit on this. It's a design philosophy. It's not this narrow thing of we're going to talk about AD&D 1E ad nauseum.
It's a pretty loose term.
Yeah, it is loose, and I definitely grant that, and it should stay loose, so that
Yeah.
allows for creativity. But at the end of the day, I really think it's a design philosophy, and the OSR will stay alive as long as people are staying creative, and that's where I'm at. So like we're
Yeah.
like I think in the third wave where people are looking at how to use the mechanics to create interesting worlds and interesting experiences. Whereas the first wave was literally retro clones. The second
Yeah.
wave was stuff like Lamentations of the Flame Princess. In fact, Lamentations was the opening of the second wave.
Yeah.
And now we're like what RPG Pundit's doing with Medieval Authentic, Barrows and Borderlands, which is a great, like, a weird science fantasy, old school style role playing game set in a dark radioactive wasteland of magic, black powder, and dragons. I mean, like,
Yeah,
perfect.
It's perfect. Like, it's setting specific, and that to me is what's interesting.
That's what I was about to say.
Anybody can just take the rules and reformat them.
Yeah.
What are you doing with them? Is
So-
what I want to know.
It's funny because I definitely feel like the rules matter secondary to the game. Because like I was saying earlier, we play a game of games.
That's an interesting statement, sir. And
That's-
gosh darn it, it's controversial.
Somebody's
Well,
gonna
here's the
clip
thing.
that, Matthew.
If-
I'm gonna
Yeah,
clip it.
That's fine. That's fine. Well, here's the thing. If they had just, or if I had just had an idea of like, oh, okay, well, I mixed OD&D, put in some Metamorph, whatever, and I just wanted to release that I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably would have told my players that no, I can't. I don't want to do that because there's a lot of clones out there. But I had a world to go with it, and I feel like a lot of my favorite games are ones where the rules were written specifically for the setting itself. So when I play Empire of the Petal Throne, yeah, I'm rolling my stats differently. I'm using a D100, and okay, we got some cool psychic stuff in here, but I'm playing it because it's in TechMel. I'm playing it because the rules match the setting. In Arduin, the rules match the setting there. You've got like 100 levels for characters in Arduin and stuff like that. It was there because it needed to be for the world. And when we were going through like cutting stuff from the game and cleaning it up and stuff, and I was asking my players like, what parts did you like? What parts didn't you like? And that kind of stuff. The main thing was if a mechanic is in the game, it has to fit two criteria. Either it reinforces the world that we're playing, or the mechanic itself was a fun little procedure that we ran. Like, oh, it was fun to roll those dice and do this little thing, kind of like in a board game. So as long as it met both of those, it stayed in the game, and anything else I just snipped off.
Interesting. Right. So let me ask you a question, because like importing board games and including some of the old school like subsystem type stuff is very different from the modern game design, which is like a universal system like Shadow Dark, like 5e. Do you think those kinds of subsystem type things where it's like the game within the game, the mini game, do you think that actually helps with like immersion and that sort of or world building?
Well, I mean, I see some of those, and like I like Shadow Dark too. I mean, I like some of the things they did. I've played it. We have fun with it. But the thing is, original D&D was a skeleton. I mean, half of the game told you to go make your own world. It even brought up John Carter of Mars. It brought up examples of how you could change it.
Yeah.
And AD&D is I'd say AD&D is like a complete game. You're playing in Gary's world. But that's kind of the evolution of it. So when I see Shadow Dark, I'm like, okay, that's another skeleton. That might be, you might like that mechanic and want to expand on that for your own setting. And I've seen some people do that too. Trying to think of some, like I've seen some people do like a Dark Sun using Shadow Dark.
Oh, he's the author's actually in chat.
Yeah, is that Chubby?
There he is. Yeah, there he is.
Oh, I saw that earlier. Oh wait, guys, we got to start the whole thing over.
Yes,
Chubby
asked us for Chubby.
So.
I know.
No.
Yeah.
What you guys
everyone
don't know
roll
is
out with the rose petals. Chubby's
here,
coming.
Yeah, right.
If y'all weren't here, I would totally do it. Chubby,
there you go.
Man. Is there anything I can help you with? How's that cowboy game coming? Anyway, go ahead, John.
Oh, cowboy game. I want to play that. Okay. So no, I like Chubby's stuff. Like his, when I was getting into checking out Shadow Dark, that was like the first thing I did was go, okay, well, who's already made like a world for it for me to play in that these rules were meant for? And that's a big thing for me. That's why I like Hyperborea so much too, Jeffrey Talanian. That every bit of that ruling, it feels like AD&D, but then he's changed a bunch for it to fit that setting.
Going back to what you said, that you think the game is more important than the rules, is that is that tied to like the world itself? So like, I want, like, you and your friends are like, hey, we want to play in X world, X being, you know, a series of descriptors, like that's what you're looking for, and then you're evaluating like the game mechanics as to whether or not they, you know, emulate what you're looking for.
Yeah. Do the rules have to enforce the setting, not the setting to enforce the rules?
You're speaking my language.
So that's my
Awesome.
that's my feel about it. Now here's the thing too.
I agree with you. I agree with that.
I'm also not going to get on to the guys that want to go and play just for the mechanics, because I'm also a board gamer, so I get it.
Right.
Maybe you play a game just because you like the mechanics, and that's fun too. But you know, when our players are like, dude, you just mentioned this whole thing about planet Eris, and you mentioned that it was in your solar system in our home campaign. I'm like, yeah, there's a whole game about it, and I've got the Gazetteer, and y'all could fly there and do that. And you know, it's stuff like that. We're wanting to go visit this world, and maybe it's got different physics. That's how we usually explain the different system changes. We'll just go, the physics are different. Who cares? So
I love that. I love that, because I sort of feel like, and maybe I might actually, because I'm going to Arnicon this year, and I'm going to find my way into a game with Alexander Macris. And I kind of want to challenge him on that, like, because, well, this is just how the physics work.
You got to come join my table.
You know, like, because like he's such a simulationist, right? Like that, what you just said kind of strikes at the simulationist. Like, we have to make sure this is 100% consistent, blah blah blah. Because like that would be very inconsistent. Like, if you couldn't play Ascendant on one planet and then go to Mars and play BX, you know, to stay consistent. You know what I'm saying? So and again, this is not me throwing shade. This is about like understanding like how we develop a game. How do we develop a campaign world or worlds, you know? And what I'm hearing from you is, what does it matter? We're having fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, okay. I see it like if you were a dude that cared a lot about simulation, which is also cool, I'd think about it the same way if you were saying, hey, I like this football team or this football team. You know, it's like, okay, we're all playing football. You might like them for different reasons.
Right.
Or, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, rulings being secondary to the game itself, rulings are still important in some way, because we could boil everything down to a single die roll and that just be the game. So there is a bit of play involved. But rulings are important, but rulings are imperative, and the world is supreme as far as that goes. And I don't mean world as in, okay, you've got to, before you run a campaign, you've got to write 600 pages of notes on a setting or anything.
Right.
That could be as simple as, we want to do Arthurian fantasy. Okay, then whatever rules y'all use should probably support that setting.
Right.
Probably make it more fun.
And then as you're playing, it sounds like what you guys have been doing is like this like interesting like feedback loop. You, the game master, have decided a couple things, right? This sort of get the baseline, and then the players are like feeding off of that and responding, and then you're responding to them. I didn't want to bring up this because we're going to talk about it in our next episode. But I've been running Gods of the Forbidden North using the rules cyclopedia. Oh, it's Rob is a good friend of ours. He's been on the show a couple times. We love Rob. He's brilliant. I think he's just a great writer. But I had this moment, this like about a week or so ago after our last session. We get together like once a month because we're old men with families and stuff, but we play for like 6 to 8 hours. And I I just had this moment where I'm like, I'm having the most fun of my life right now with this campaign. Because number one, I have my hard nosed like 5e players like actually enjoying it, and they're out buying the rules cyclopedia. Number two, I'm taking stuff from the rules cyclopedia that's just not working for us, and I'm getting to have some fun with like the design and redesign, and it's just been a blast. And I've been kit bashing stuff from RPG Pundit into this, and all this stuff. It's just been an absolute blast because of that like freedom to be creative.
Right.
And and a lot of what I'm doing is just listening to my players when they say, I want to do this. And I go, you know what? There's no rule for that, but we're going to make something to make it work. And that is just so much fun.
Yeah, so we were actually having a conversation about this earlier today with some of our players, and it came up in conversation. Okay, you're a magic user, and you look at me. Let's say you've only got a few spells, and you go, "There's 50 goblins running at you," and you go, "I don't know. Can I just make the floor like quicksand?" And I go, "Oh, we'll roll some dice. We'll see what happens." And then after the combat, so that right there was a ruling. Let's say it works. And then afterwards, I'll look at him and go, all right, well, if you spend the time and the money as per the B&B thing, then you can maybe learn that spell and make your own spell. And you had an epiphany in the middle of the moment. And then my buddy was talking about, like one of his thieves wanted to run up a wall or something. And he goes, we'll roll a nat 20 and we'll see if it happens. And he rolled a nat 20. And he goes, all right, well, roll a 19 or 20 and it'll have always been that way. You can run up walls. And he did so, and he rolled a 19. And he's like, all right, cool. Add that to your character sheet. That's part of your character's class. And that's in the game now. But yeah, I mean, sometimes things work different, you know? We had a conversation, one of my favorite players recently, Ultra American TTRPGer, we were having a conversation about horses. And I leave the horse statistics fairly open in Barrows and Borderlands. But he was wanting to know the specifics of it and stuff. And I was like, all right, well, basically you tell me what you're trying to buy with your horse and I'll just either yay or nay it, you know. This is outside the game. He was just doing shopping for his character. And I was like, oh, if you say your horse can run 30 hexes, I'll probably say no, but you know, let's see maybe you found an interesting horse.
Right.
But so we change our game all the time. Even my own game, we don't run everything by the book because things can change, things can happen. And yeah, the players have a lot of sway in what happens there. It's mainly about if they tell me, you know, I kind of want to try this thing out and then we'll see if it works. As long as it doesn't make you better than everybody else. And at that point, it's less about are you better than the enemies? It's more about is everybody having like a fair experience to the game?
I was just going to ask, because I'm very conscious of this with what I'm doing with my Gods of the Forbidden North campaign. Because there's, again, we'll be getting into this in the next second watch episode. But like, I have some players who are really getting into one-to-one time and downtime and all, and others who are just like, it's not for us, right? But the people who are doing downtime are doing things and getting benefits and reaping rewards because of it, right? So when you have a game where you're being a little bit more open and malleable with like player feedback and what they want their character to do, have you had any issues with like bad feelings, players being like, hey, this isn't fucking fair, what the fuck, I couldn't do that, I rolled this, that, and the other thing, and it's not in the rule book? I mean, have you had that? And if you have, how did you handle it?
Yes. And usually I just say, hey, look, guys, we're trying to play a game here. What do you think is fair and what do you think is fair? All right, well, I'm the referee, so here's what's fair. You know, like it is kind of, you do have to kind of like take the reins a little bit because you are the referee and there's sort of a bit of buy-in to you're the one end all be all as far as the rules go. I've had players that have disagreed with me, of course. I mean, if everybody agreed with me on how the game was meant to be run, then there wouldn't really be a game or a need for me to be a referee. But usually it's mainly about, are you playing with your friends? And if so, y'all can usually work it out. I've definitely had some players though where that didn't go that way, and it was mainly we just kind of found out that this guy was just not a nice guy. So it had nothing really to do with the game itself. And you know, we do all kinds of styles of play, and half the time, I kind of prefer it to be, well, you know, don't worry about what the rule says right now. I'll just make a ruling for here, and then after the game, we can have a talk about what it actually is. I'm not going to waste everybody's time spending 10 minutes to go look up the rule. I'll just make something up right now. But that's usually how we get over it.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, Christ. We've been talking like an hour and 10 minutes about your game master style, which not that I have a problem with. In fact, like I said, this is what this channel is really about. I do think game mastery in real life, my vocation is that of lawyer. That's what I do. And I game mastery to me is very similar to the practice of law. You can't just read a book and memorize a bunch of stuff and be a good game master. It's a practice, just like the law. You graduate from law school, you can have a bunch of shit in your head, but the practice of law, well, takes practice, you know, and you're going to take a lifetime to master it. And I feel the same way about game mastery. And that's why Gary and I, you know, years ago when we first met, we had very similar positions on it. We still feel this way. And that's why we talk, and we don't agree. We don't agree on a lot.
You
But
haven't said shit that's right in like a month, bro. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. I'm just kidding. He's froze up.
In
boom,
Mirror
roasted.
World. Anyway,
so hard you froze.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Don't listen to that guy. He's drunk. So am I. But anyway, so but I think the conversation is like how you learn, and that's why I'm like, I kind of consider myself the anti-YouTuber. Like, I'm not going to sit there and make a bunch of videos. You should play the game this way. No, I'd rather have a conversation. And I think what you've been talking about has been like, well, like I said, very refreshing, because you're bringing receipts. You have a game that's been very successful, doing things that are well, not what you typically see. So I do appreciate that, but I want to talk about your game. Okay, so
we'll argue in a minute, Judd. Be patient, Judd. He's been pissing me off. I'm just staying quiet. I'm saving it all up.
I know.
You know what?
I lawyerly right now. I need.
There you go.
You see how Matt gets into these very lawyerly phases during a conversation where he orders everything. He makes sure everybody's on the same page.
I know. It's called framing the conversation. It's a rhetorical tool, Gary. Anyway, and as I was saying,
got to do is break that up.
You see what I did there? Anyway,
sorry.
Okay. So I think we kind of already talked about like your literary influences.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your game influences that helped Barrows and Borderlands. I saw you lift the core rules of my favorite game, my favorite OSR game, Lamentations.
I knew you'd like that one, yeah.
So like how many games did you like go through, and not just OSR games period, before these rules started to, like, I guess, crystallize in your brain and you started using them regularly?
I honestly don't know the amount of role-playing games we've played. We've gone all the way. I know I've brought up Hyperborea and Lamentations and Basic and Expert and all those. Those are all sort of OSR style games. But we've also done like solo play games. Alex T's Care Nathalis. We actually ran a mashup campaign where we mixed Care Nathalis, Disciple Bone and Shadow, and Broken Shores, and we went, all right, so we're going to use these rules, but we're going to like destroy everything. And now we're in like a biopunk setting. We're going to call it Sorcerers of Blood and Godflesh. And everybody's like some weird augmented mage. We ran that.
That's awesome.
That was a cool campaign. That was a good one. But we had Dragonbane. I've got Mutants and Masterminds up there. My buddy wants me to run for them. So we've played a lot of games. I mean, like I said, we played about 30 a year for about 4 years. So I guess I'd make it, pretty good amount. And that's not exact, but we just like playing a lot of systems. And then that was before I started working on the official rules of Barrows and Borderlands, because I was like, well, we might as well know what we're talking about before we try it.
Right.
And especially after we were trying to get away from 5th edition, it was a big search trying to find the game we were looking for. And we really couldn't, at least for our table. We played a lot of great games, but at the end of the day, I had to put something together for them.
When you say get away from 5e, what exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, so we wanted a game where we could really have a challenge and the players could die, and it was less about what you had on your sheet and more about what you knew and what you could do. So, and especially at the time, the OGL stuff was happening, and we were like, man, I don't know if we really want to be playing that game anymore. We've been looking for something new for a while. This will be our excuse to get out of it. Of course, we still had some players that really liked 5th edition. I was like, give it a shot. If you guys hate all these things we try, then we'll go back. But, it was, nobody's asked me to play a 5th edition game in a long time. So,
awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to say it's a bad game. It's just not the fantasy that we're looking for. It didn't.
I think that's fair.
Game. It's a bad. The core mechanic is fine. It's a bad game, dude.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, there are some things that are like, okay, so like feats are optional in the official rules. So if you really
are they optional?
They were at my table, but
yeah, if I were to run 5e again, there would be no feats, there'd be no multi-classing, and you'd be stuck with the nothing beyond Xanathar's Guide.
Yeah, I mean, if you cut everything out of 5th edition, which is the point, you had to cut things away. But if you did cut things away, you'd kind of wind up with something that felt like BX a little bit.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was actually my my reaction to 5e when it first came out. Like, because I was part of a gaming group that was very loyal to the brand, so we bought a lot of 4th edition stuff, and we played a lot of 4th edition, and it was like, so when I saw 5th edition, I felt it kind of I thought it was kind of refreshing. I was like, oh my goodness, DM's discretion is back. Like, I have a little bit more control over my table now because I have all these things I can do and blah blah blah. But then the power bloat and all this other stuff came around, and there was a sort of like feeling that I had to be, again, this is more of a social thing. But, my players wanted to use that stuff. And I was like, well, I don't. But,
so I'm curious real quick. I feel like this is a big thing. But in the original Dungeons and Dragons, there was the player's guide, right? And players were not to fucking read the Dungeon Master's Guide, right? Everything was supposed to be separate. And I kind of feel like the new like 5e, because everything's open and everybody knows the rules, and so let me ask you, what do you think about that? How is Barrows and Borderlands in the pamphlet form anyway? How do you feel about players? Should they know all the rules? Is there information the players shouldn't know? Because I feel like that's 5e's downfall, is everything is made for the players. It's too much.
I don't know how many times I say it in the book, but I say it quite a bit. I think it's I say chapter, every few pages. I say, basically, players ignore this. It's at referee discretion. And because nothing that I actually put pen to paper on, that's not your campaign that you're running. That's not your game. Another one of my buddies puts it a really good way. He will tell me how he runs it at his table, and he goes, don't run it like that at your table, because that's what I've got going. And he's like, it's just that there is a bit of a buy-in with players and referees where, yeah, okay, maybe I'll give you the book so you can make your character. Maybe I want you to check out what the classes there are, give you some inspiration. But really, at the end of the day, if a player looks at me and goes, well, on page so and so, you wrote in here that I can do this thing, and I can go, well, it really sucks because the stars aren't aligned today, because maybe it's a little different.
Yep.
And it's just that bit of referee to player interaction. I think Dave McGeary, who made the Dungeon board game, was talking about it, and he brought up that the players at the time would have a lot of arguments, but then Dave Arneson would come up and he would just make something up in the moment. All right, you roll this dice, you roll that dice, and at the end of the argument, that was it. It was whatever Dave said. And it's not that I know more than the players, because I've got a lot of really intelligent players. I've got some guys in our group that one of our players is actually the instructor of a HEMA group that I'm in. So in that environment, he's the teacher and I'm the student. But then when we're at the table, it's like, well, you guys have kind of agreed that I'm the one that's going to make a ruling here. Now, that doesn't mean that if a player makes a good argument as to why it should be some way, I'm not going to take that into consideration. Especially in Barrows and Borderlands, it's like, that's really what it is. It's a suggestion guide. Here's a suggestion of how you could run things, so that when you are a referee, you can say, well, I could sit here and figure out, how much a sword would hurt if I hit you in the arm, or I could check the reference and he says, okay, use a D8. So we'll just go with that. But yeah.
Griff, I want to address a Rumble rant in just 1 second here. But yeah, Griff Morgan, actually, in one of his videos and one of the times we talked to him, he was one of our first guests, actually. But he talks about like the give and take between the referee and the player, where the player says, I want to do this thing, and the referee's like, well, that's probably going to be an 80% chance of failure. And then the player goes, well, what if I do it this way? Okay, maybe it's 50%. And you have this give and take. And I think that gets lost in a lot of the modern game design, because part of that discussion is that sort of it's about that imperfect nature of this fantasy world that you guys are creating. Like you don't have all the knowledge as a player because you're limited by what the game master gives you. So you have this give and take, you have this sort of conversation, and then ultimately the player does something. And the better questions they offer and the more detailed they get, the more the greater likelihood of success, So yeah, I hear what you're saying there.
Well,
Let me hit this. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, that's why I use the term referee at my table, and we have multiple referees. So we do kind of have like an internal sheet of paper. We're like, hey, here's the things that we agree on, so that we're not necessarily super different. But, it reminds me of like a soccer match. Okay, the rules say no unsportsmanlike conduct. And then you go and you kick somebody's ankles, and he goes, that's a foul. You kicked his ankles. He goes, well, where does it say in the rules I can't kick his ankles? It's like, right. Well, I have decided that counts as unsportsmanlike. Or, one last thing I wanted to bring up, because I know you got I think it was a super chat came in, or a comment you were going to bring up, but I have a quote from Gary Gygax in Alarms and Excursions that I think is really good. This was in 1975. And he says in here, Dave and I disagree on how to handle a number of things, and both of our campaigns differ from the rules found in D&D. If the time ever comes when all aspects of fantasy are covered and the vast majority of its players agree on how the game should be played, D&D will have become stale and boring indeed.
Yes. Okay. All right. I'm going to get your Rumble rant. I promise. But this is what I'm talking about. RPGs, forget all you know or all you think you know. I'm the fucking high old one right now. Willow, that was a Willow reference. Okay. RPGs are trying to game the imagination, and the imagination is limitless. You cannot confine it. So that's why I'm while I appreciate the rules as written, guys, I want to have some kind, like the tension between the rules as written and the rule of cool and all that stuff. Like we have to understand, like we have to understand, like the imagination just can't be like quantified. We have to allow some breathing room. So I fucking love that quote. Okay. Ultra, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your patience. We appreciate it. $2 Rumble rant, because I have a whopping 3 people following me on Rumble. And if you are watching on Rumble and you aren't following me, please do. One of my favorite characters I'm playing at the moment is Gong, the Green Skull Fighting Man. He has a 4 intelligence, and he counts out every single coin when he's paying someone because of that 4. I
My
love
favorite
that.
illiterate.
Yeah, I love that kind of like characterization. And Green Skull, by the way, is a character race in this class where you're like playing undead, radioactive undead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, where did that idea come from, by the way?
So there's an obvious inspiration
why radioactive
for those guys. I love Gamma World. I love Metamorphosis Alpha, and I also love Fallout. So, and you know, like the ghouls in Fallout, I was like, I want some guys in this game that are really irradiated, like to the max. And so I was like, well, okay, here's the Green Skulls. But then I knew at the same time that people were going to take that and change it however they wanted. So I put in there, I was like, maybe they're actual skeletons with green bones, or maybe in your game they've got like this translucent green flesh on them or something like that. So yeah, they're really horrifying guys. And yeah, he rolled a 4. I was there when he did it. Beautiful character. There was a whole fight that he was in where instead of action, so there was this evil altar and it had this heart sitting on it and everything, and he goes, I'm gonna pick it up and walk around with it, and I'm gonna protect the little heart because this is not where it belongs. And I'm like, that's perfect. So he ignored the whole combat going on around him as he's just like protecting this little heart from getting hurt. Yeah, he's a good role player. Ultra American. He's got a good channel too. So
yeah, Ultra's on our gaming server. He's actually run games on my gaming server, and yeah,
Ultra's
I've
in
been
my West Marches campaign.
Yeah,
and
he's a good dude. Yeah,
is,
we have a lot of fun with him.
He's making sure shit's straight. Let me tell you.
Hey, we had an argument about horses earlier today. I was just talking about that. That was him and me. We were like, no, this is how the horses are going to work. So.
I just had a conversation. Ultra's character was the first character to buy a cart and a horse in our campaign. Yes. And I just had another character like, maybe I should get a cart. Ultra's got a cart. I need a cart.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We got a $5 super chat from Doc Flamingo. Hey brother, thanks for showing up. Hey, real quick, Atmos gave me copies of your game. I'm reading through it. I'm going to do a video on it. Thank you so much. Looking forward to it. But
what's his game?
Hold on a second. It's got like interesting title here.
Atmos is not a real person.
Age of Blood and Iron. I actually one of our gamers on my server. I've known him for a few years. He's a mysterious man. He goes by Atmos. No one knows what he looks like. I do. But he
not real, bro.
That he actually accosted me at VentureCon, and that's how I learned his secret identity. And he gave me both this hardcover and the Magic supplement doc, and which I thought was very generous of Atmos to do so.
I'll check that out. That's a cool name.
Yeah, it's based off the Cepheus game engine, so Traveler and all that stuff. Very interesting game. I know we're supposed to be talking about your game. Sorry, but I'm trying to throw some. But yes,
bro.
Yes, awesome.
I love games, so I'm.
But Doc, I just wanted $5. Thank you so much, man. I just want to let you know I have your game. There's going to be video coming out on it soon. I've just been very busy. Players need to know one thing: how to cry over their dead characters. Yes,
I'll tell you how to make them cry. I've got oh wait, are we trying to make them cry? I'm assuming so.
I have waivers.
It's a slow day,
sign.
Sure.
Hold on, I've got my graveyard here. So when a character dies. Yeah, I've got so originally we would do it with Sharpie, but I just got one of my players gifted me this little stamp that says cause of death. I can stamp it on the front of your character sheet. But we've got death by spider, good old Midas. We've got death by spontaneous combustion. What was that? Death by laser. Oh, that was Fritz. Okay. Death by white ape.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I keep a graveyard, and then when the new players show up to the table, I go, by the way, we have a track record of characters dying. So when it happens, I'll give you a cool little, you got your final word, but then we're going to wave you goodbye with a Sharpie marker, and then you'll make a new one. And the new one will be better than the old one because it'll be alive.
What I'm doing with my Gods of the North campaign, no one's died yet. A lot of their retainers have. They have a mercenary company called the Iron Price, and they hire a lot of fucking retainers, and they die. But what we have a wall. We're going to be putting up the dead characters, and we're going to write how they died, like you did. And then I have a bottle of bourbon, and we're going to take a shot, and we're going to read out. We're taking a few minutes, and we're going to read out their fucking saga, like the things that they did, and then up on the wall. And that's actually made my the more 5e story gamer types in my game feel a little bit more comfortable how the lethality of more OSR play. But and again, we're going to talk about this next session, but I've been so proud of my players. They have been doing so well. They've been thinking. They're not relying on game mechanics. It's been great. But anyway,
we had a moment real quick. We had a moment, me and Reed, last night when we were playing, where he kind of looked around, and I pulled out all the retainer cards because I had made like 25 retainers when this campaign started. There were a couple casualties last night. I don't want to say who, but there were casualties. And I pulled out the remaining retainer cards from the original 20.
Oh man.
I have made more, but the graveyard for my game, the retainers and the PCs, because we had a lot of PCs go down on those first days. And that's when you find out if people really enjoy playing OSR style games, is when the body count starts to go up. And they keep coming around. They're having fun. So I'm curious about a lot of things. I feel like I could ask you questions for a couple hours, but what was your general impetus? I mean, most people say, I'm going to write a game. I want a cyberpunk game. No cyberpunk game does what I want it to do. Yeah. And of course, your thing came about kind of organically, and you were encouraged to publish. What do you see? I asked you earlier, you probably had a lot of material that was probably ready to at least be written and published. How long are you going to do this? What do you think in the shelf? You think it's something you want to do for a while, or was it just a fluke?
I mean, we've been making stuff for a decade. This is just really the first time that we're putting it out there. I mean, that's great. And the most organized. And so, I mean, we're still going to be making stuff. I've got the next big thing is Dark Star Violet. And so that's a space skirmisher game. And here's the thing about the way I release stuff. If it's just some new stuff for your home game, a lot of that, I know Chubby's going to disagree with me, but I have a free PDF called Radioactive Boogaloo. And that's where I throw ideas out there. Eventually
find that Radioactive Boogaloo. Where is that found?
If you go to Barrows and Borderlands.com, you can find it on Drivethrurpg too, but I like it better when you do it on my website. But
I do too, because I hate Drivethrurpg.
A&D, Barrows and Borderlands.com. But Chubby's gonna get on you. No, okay. But
links in the
so we will be having it as a print on demand on the site eventually too, and that one will be like a few bucks, and then you pay for printing and shipping, but the PDF is free on there. That's where I put cool rules I've come up with. We added a bunch of new classes. We've got stuff in there about patron play, going past level 10 to infinity, and then we've got that's where I throw the cool playtesty stuff or stuff that's not core to the game.
Yeah.
And then the only times I want to release something that's a paid product as both print on demand and PDF is, does it add almost a mini game to your home game? Right. Or is it like an adventure module?
Is it like a new facet to the game? Right.
So of course, gotcha. Darkstar Violet is going to have some new classes in it and some fun stuff, but half the book is this space skirmisher war game, because my players found a spaceship, and now I've got to publish that so they can see it.
That's awesome. I just want to make a suggestion. You obviously don't have to follow it, but what RPG Pundit has done, and he's been very successful doing this, is like he used to do an RPG Pundit Presents, and now he's doing something on the Red Room. I can't remember what it's called. But and then after a while, after publishing whatever, he'll take what all the things of the similar theme and then put them together for a book. I think gamers being gamers, we like to collect things, I think because I think the Radioactive Boogaloo is awesome, by the way, because like you're expanding your world, you're expanding the lore, and you're giving players more options. And every time you come up with a character class, that helps define the lore. You know what I mean? So I think once you have enough of those, like you could easily put something together and just say, hey, Drivethrurpg, here's a physical copy of all these Boogaloo things based on X, Y, and Z. I think that's great. Like the moment you started putting those out, that's when I knew this was more than just a flash in the pan, because players, gamers need to know that an IP is supported. If you just put something out there into the void and that's all you do with it, then it's just going to float out in space. It's not going to have some gravitational pull. It's not going to have a solar system. It's not going to have this freaking ecosystem or whatever. But once you start, and Kelsey with her it was Shadow Dark freaking Cursed Scrolls, like all that stuff, like it just generates like weight.
I'll go so far as to say
it gives players something to like accumulate. You know what I mean?
And Chubby, I saw your comment on there. I can't change the name. It's from like a multi-year campaign official thing, so it is what it is. Darkstar Violet. So
I think a lot of games fail because they're not supported. Like I feel like you need to support it right away. There's a game that just kickstarted. Chubby, please do something for Shadow City. Shadow City is so good. Please do some adventures. Do whatever it is you think of. Shadow City is so good. Please support it right now, because it's got to grow. You got to water that thing for it to grow. It's so good.
Yeah, going back to like Pundit's like business model. I mean, like his whole medieval authentic shtick could have died on the vine once he published Lion and Dragon, and that's all he did. But he kept putting out stuff, and then he'd bundle it together. Here's the what the hell does he call it? The OSR companion or whatever it is. Number 1, number 2, number 3. By the way, is my favorite. It's got all these extra magic class abilities that I've actually incorporated into my Gods of the Forbidden North campaign. So that's the kind of thing I think you need for something that to survive. And your instincts are good, man.
Yeah.
Your instincts are good. Fucking Radioactive Boogaloo, I love it. And I'm a Avenger Satanis fan, and Electric Boogaloo was the name of his second convention. So when I saw Radioactive Boogaloo, I was like, this guy.
Yeah, and also like, as far as some, I promise y'all, I'm never gonna publish something that is made just to publish something. So, if y'all wait a little bit for something to come out, it's because we only publish things that we think are cool and we actually want to play at the table. So, I've got a couple players right now working on 2 adventures. and they're planning on publishing it. And made for Barrows and Borderlands. And the thing about those adventures is both of them are player created places. Like their players actually built those places in the world, and they're like, well, there we go. And then I've got, like I said, Darkstar Violet. I'm working on a couple of my own little adventures. I've got Dracula in space. That's a fun one.
There was a back in the day when I was little, before I got into RPGs, there was like the choose your own adventures, and there was Vampire in Space. Dude,
You nailed it.
Yes, that was like
You
my
nailed
favorite
it.
book. Oh my
So,
god,
Dracula in space.
Dude, you're like
imagine
my
that
favorite
choose your own
person right
adventure
now.
book with like a little Ravenloft mixed in, and there you go. But I've also got Hate Death 1, where you've got a frozen planet where nothing is alive except the undead. That was a fun one.
Oh, very
but
cool.
you know, like I
Very
said,
cool.
the only time I release something is if it's like we actually want to play it. So, or we already have played it and it was fun, so we're retroactively like writing it up. I need to run to the I'm gonna wait for Gary to get back, and then I'll run to the restroom. That way, you're not alone.
You got to. Oh, okay. Well, let me ask you. Well, let me talk. Well, I'll just bloviate a little bit. Okay, so do you know who Ben Gibson is? He's like an author, game designer, and he runs Cold Light Press, and he does this annual, I guess, one shot competition thing. But his whole thing is you can't do something that's system agnostic. You got to choose a system, and he's very old school. I just learned about him this past year. We had him on the show. He's a really cool guy, very funny on social media, by the way. The guy is sarcastic as fuck, and I love that shit. I'm going to be writing something
awesome.
for this.
That'll be cool.
For Cold Light. So that's how awesome I think
you.
this is. But I did want to ask, with how gonzo this game can be. I mean, are you familiar with Vendor Satanis' Chult?
Like, it's funny because I've never actually played in Chult, but I've had a few guys come to me and be like, you know what, I'm gonna use your system in Chult. I'm like, cool. All right. And then I checked it out after they said that. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And his stuff looks pretty good. I've also seen somebody say that they were going to try and use B&B to run a Spelljammer game. I was like, yeah, okay, I could see that. And
I can see that too.
You know, and also, you know, with Barrows and Borderlands, I did make a point to keep the rules segmented and modular, because I also know that there are folks out there that are mixing their own game together to run for their table, which is my favorite way to play. So that way you can sort of steal mechanics, steal ideas, have fun with it, enjoy it for your game. That's sort of my favorite systems are the modular ones. So
yeah. Oh, I think that's the strength of the
Yeah.
OSR, the plug and play aspect of it all. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll run
to the restroom. I'll be right back. But
That's so funny. I wish I could pipe in music.
Oh my god, yo!
It's actually, Matt, I want to tell you, I've been having this weird thought. You know how I've been looking, now that I've got the OSC game kind of kicking, I've been looking for that second game.
Yeah.
Part of me was like, I should just take the core Easy D6 rules. Because remember when we had on, what was his last name? Max. Bouvier, what's the 4D?
Mr. Max
Boyvon.
Yeah, it's 4D.
Yeah. And he was talking about using Easy D6. I feel like after talking to this guy, I want to start an Easy D6 campaign where we just kind of use that core rule and make it up as it goes along. It's like freedom to do whatever, but at the same time, if you, I don't know, man, it's funny because the Ultra, are you still here? Because Ultra, you're a real stickler. Like, you really like rules is written. You're going to look at that book. And I'm just curious, like, does it feel like you're playing an improv game, or do you get what's going on? I'm just curious. If you're still here, Ultra, answer me. But I'm pretty intrigued. Matt, you look this is one of the better conversations I think we've had.
Well, I've been very excited about what Matthew Tapp is bringing to the table because it is different, and I don't want to get on a soapbox because I don't want to cause controversy or whatever. But I think there's the OSR has been inundated with an ideology or whatever philosophy that I frankly think is anti-creative, and that is this like weird obsession with rules as written or weird obsession with one particular play style.
Hang on.
Let me finish. Like, I don't have like what they say. Their arguments for this is they're not wrong when they're talking specifically about the thing. Like, yes, for example, 1-to-1 time can do X, Y, and Z. Yes, patron play can do X, Y, and Z. But like what we've just been discovering for the past hour and 45 minutes is there's an entire gaming group of 30 plus people who are not doing that, who are being a little bit more freewheeling, and they're having a fucking blast. So much so that the fucking game store said you should publish it. So I just think, to me, this is sort of validation for some of the stuff that I've been thinking about and trying to say for.
Well, do you think it's maybe a reaction?
Here now,
do you
whatever.
think it's maybe just a reaction because we had a few years. I mean, I want to say like a year pre-pandemic and then well into the pandemic, where it was very much a rule zero, rules light. I think people were feeling the weight of 5e. And so they were looking for something a little lighter, and these other games came along. And I think maybe the rules is written crowd,
but I just think
it's a reaction to that.
No, I know what you're trying to get at, and I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but I think it metastasized into like this caricature. Like, if you don't agree with this, you must be that, and which I think is like this like weird black and white dichotomy that just doesn't exist. Like what we're seeing with how Matt runs his games is, yeah, we're gonna play this game, but when this weird thing shows up, I'm going to use my discretion as a game master to do more than just make a ruling. I'm going to pull out Parcheesi, or I'm going to do this other thing, and it's going to be fun and it's going to be awesome. And that's the kind of creativity that I think gets stifled when we don't promote a kind of creative that kind of creative freedom. And that's really what I'm trying to say here. Oh shit, he's back. Just kidding.
I'm talking about
but I've actually been extolling the virtues of your game mastering style. Like, you got a great game, but honestly, I'm more of a fan of your game mastering style. Like, I really think the way you run your games. And I'm kind of pissed off. I'm like literally taking a virtual cat of nine tails, and I'm whipping myself right now for not jumping in sooner. So you'll probably be seeing me on your Discord.
Yeah, come play a game with us. We got a couple Stein games coming up too. So
I would love
to
play a game with you guys.
That's the reason why I'm going to Arnicon. I want to play fucking Braunstein with fucking Wesley, fun. Man. I mean, he's like in his 80s. Like, I got to do it now before he expires, So
I'm just jealous. I'm not going to Arnicon. And I
come
think
join the Discord. We'll run one for you.
I would love to, man. I would love to. Matt, we've talked about this before. Matt really likes writing and creating and wants to publish and all that kind of stuff. And that's one of the reasons, we do the live stream. And I just did the live stream because I needed more players. And I thought this would be a good way to recruit people into games.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all about what can I play. So definitely, man, send me that Discord link and I will be all over it.
For sure.
I before we go, we haven't even really talked about your system or the mechanics, which is funny because I've noticed that when we have game designers on, it goes a couple ways. It really goes one of two ways. we start talking about their game, and no matter what happens, we wind up talking about their game, or we lose ourselves in this sort of game mastering philosophy kind of thing. And those are really my favorites. So Matt, thank
Me
you
too.
a whole lot. Yeah, no, thank you very much, because I thought we'd have an hour on your game and then an hour on how you game mastered. Thanks a lot, man. This has been great. I was telling Matt while you were gone that
Yeah.
I've had this weird idea that I want to take Easy D6 and maybe even just kind of start a bare bones game and be like, all right, guys, we're going to create this game together. But when you have that idea in your head, you're like, who's going to do that with you? You know what I mean? Like, who's going to get it? And you
Play
went and
Microscope.
did it. Yeah, you went and did it, man. So congratulations. Good job.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, system wise, you can explain it very easily. It's OD&D at its core, and then layered on top of it, you've got Metamorphosis Alpha, Lamentations, and my favorite games that I played. And then my players say I came up with a bunch of ideas, but there's nothing new under the sun. Don't let anybody tell you different.
Yeah.
But where my game is unique is it's mixing these things together in a way that where you can run sort of that black powder era with sword and sorcery. So you get the Solomon Kane, the weird sort of like Clark Ashton Smithy feeling worlds and stuff. I make a couple references to like Zothique in the game and stuff like that. So that's really what you're playing when you play that.
When did you start? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, go ahead. No.
I was going to ask you. You reference. There he is. You reference. You reference a lot of Appendix N things. When have you read a lot of Appendix N? Was that a thing for you, or were you just lucky and found Clark Ashton Smith and all the other kind of crazy?
Sorry, one more time. The it was being a little.
I was gonna say, it seems that you've read a few Appendix N, books. Was it a conscious decision to go read Appendix N, or was it just luck and happenstance?
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought you were getting at. But
sorry, I've had a couple drinks.
No, you're good. No, you're good. It wasn't you, it was the whole thing. But yeah, no, I mean, some of it came from seeing the actual Appendix N and being like, oh, what's that? I'll check that out. And then some of it came though. I mean, like my dad was really big on watching like 80s movies with me growing up. And then it's really just, okay, well, what were those movies based on? Like Conan, for example, you go back and you read Howard. Fawford and Grey Mouser with Fritz Lieber's work. That was probably my favorite one, my favorite series. Yeah. And that one is really, if you're a fan of like the play style of D&D, there's a lot of correlation in that. Every once in a while they start every adventure broke because they spend all their money. They always hang out in the tavern. They're going on just wild adventures. Why'd they do that? Because it was fun, Yep. So, but yeah,
girls,
so it's a natural.
They had girls for about 5 minutes and then they got killed.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Whatever it takes to keep them on the road, right? My favorite, and I just had a Twitter, not a blow up, but I just had a little. Somebody said 9 Princes of Amber was the worst thing on Appendix N, and I just you're wrong. Whoever that was, I argued with on Twitter. I'm still right. 9 Princes in Amber is great. So
yeah, that's
it was a conscious, like you saw it and were like, oh, I'm gonna check this out. But you had a cool dad that I try to do that with my kid, but he's only 14 and he doesn't give a shit. Dude. He does not care.
He'll care later. He'll care later. I didn't care when I was 14. So, I mean, I know too, like, I feel like nowadays a lot of it has to be a conscious decision to go back and read that stuff because you don't just see it anywhere.
Right.
So I actually, in my home campaign, and this is a good way to get more folks to read it, I give XP for reading Weird Tales magazine. I also give XP for reading the old books. And I give XP for watching the old movies. So it's 100 XP for an old movie, 50 XP per Weird Tales magazine, that kind of thing. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if your players really know what you're going for, they can play towards it because they want the same thing.
That's a good interest. That I said a little while back. I think maybe it was off camera, but I'll say it on camera. I like making fun of the Bro SR because some of the stupid shit that they say, but they do have something that they like that where they reward their members for like reading Appendix N and stuff. And I always thought that
it's a great idea. Yeah.
So
Not my idea.
They understand.
Don't think I created that. Yeah.
Oh no, I know. I'm not trying to say anything like that. I'm just because I started getting into the Appendix N because the only Appendix N I read when I was younger was H.P. Lovecraft, but that's because I'm a weird horror fanatic and I like being scared. I didn't know it had anything to do with the Appendix N because I started with the red box and then I went into second edition AD&D. I didn't know what the Appendix N was for a very long time. So the past 10 years, I've every now and again, started diving into that, and Paul Anderson, I fucking love, so I think that's smart because you get an understanding of where this game came from and those ideas and why we have what we're doing. And so it takes it out of the gamist sort of mentality and into the more imagination and narrative sort of ideas.
It also gives
game.
Everybody a shared language. Sort of a shared perception. So.
And that original Blackmore, but before we move on, that original Blackmore bunch too, that's what they were reading. And Arneson, I mean, he says that, I just needed the excuse because the old war gamers were getting on to me about historical accuracy. Well, you can't get on to me if it's fantasy. But then all those guys were reading it. Yeah. Especially if you talk to Wesley, because the moment I bring that kind of stuff up to him and he's like, well, you should read this and then this and then this. And so, yeah, you could tell that those guys, they had a play group of people that loved that stuff and they knew what they were talking about. And that helps.
Oh, and that's probably how, they were able to make it be so successful. We only have a few minutes left. I don't, we can spend as much time as we want on this, but I got to bring it up because, I want to bring it up. So you had a interview with RPG Pundit because he felt, rightfully so, you had a very interesting product that was probably the most interesting OSR product of this year, and I agree with that assessment. And Reddit took objection with you, sir. Well, why don't we start with exactly what happened? I know Reddit's fucking sucks, but Venger is constantly going to Reddit, and I'm like, Venger, they don't like you. Why are you doing this? So did you expect that kind of reaction? What was there fallout?
I mean, okay, so start off with I usually stay out of politics, and my players, we just play whatever we want to play. I usually find out about the drama about 2 years after it happens. So I'll have somebody be like, oh, so-and-so from Lamentation of Flame Princess did so. So I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm not online. I'm only recently online as much as I am because of, promoting the game and whatnot. But usually I don't really have time. So I miss a lot of that stuff. But then I had been watching, I've seen your channel before. I've seen RPG Pundit, and I watch a lot of the OSR content that's out there. But then I just miss all the drama. So when RPG Pundit reached out, I was like, of course, I'd love to come on. And I knew his channel too. So honestly, I thought when I was going to get on there, he was going to rip me a new one with the game. I thought he was going to be like, oh, why'd you do this, this, and this? This is terrible,
Right.
He's a pretty critical guy, so I was ready for it.
Yeah.
But no, he seemed to like it, and I thought it was a great interview, and I had a lot of fun on there. And then later, I'm just posting the hey, here's an update to the game on Reddit, and I get a little comment that's like, this was sitting in my cart, but then I found out he was on RPG Pundit, so I put it away. And my first thought was like, yeah, right, guy, you didn't have it in your cart, but I was like, okay, I'll mention this to the folks on X. I'm like, well, you see what this guy's up to. and when you bring up like a response to it, it was like immediately I got comment. I actually had one guy that was like, this isn't my kind of fantasy, but I'm gonna pick it up anyway. I'm like, awesome, thank you. Maybe you'll find something to steal for your campaign. But
when that happened, Matt sent me a message and he said, "Did you see this shit?" Having him on the show. 10 minutes later, it's confirmed he's gonna be here.
Yeah, I'm okay. So people who know me personally know that I'm pretty political. I have my opinions. I'm right leaning, blah blah blah. But my gaming group, my personal gaming group, is pretty agnostic. Like we have our opinions and we disagree, but we don't bring it to the game. We leave it at the door. In fact, a friend of mine who passed away a few months ago was pretty left leaning, and he, a homosexual. Had I'm Catholic. I don't agree with that lifestyle. Blah blah blah. But we were able to find common ground through the game. So when I see shit like that, fucking bullshit on Reddit, and I want to wave a finger at the right wingers as well. We're here to game. Who gives a fuck how you vote? You know what I mean? So I saw that. I knew you weren't going to have a problem because you were in good hands. But I'm like, we got to have this guy on. So,
well, my when I start my open table games, if that politics question ever comes up, I say, if I know what your politics are, then we're not playing the game, which means we're wasting time. So we got to get back to the game. So, and I grew up, yes. My parents, they were like, Matthew, if you're in conversation, 3 things, sports, religion, and politics, just don't even. And so I just,
but see, sports is safe because you can argue about sports without consequence.
Okay. What's your favorite team?
Not in Western New York.
Hook 'em, Longhorns, UT. We got the last Manning as quarterback starting this season. Do you understand what that means? We got Bills. The genetics to go all Bills. The way.
So here you go,
I'm
right there.
Make an enemy
How
with
many
that
folks in the comment hate that team? So
probably everybody. Fuck them. I don't care. We're still going to take the championship this year.
Well, there you go. But I the sports I'm into are HEMA stuff, so I miss out on some of that. But like it really is, if you're spending your time with that. Now, some of my gaming friends, I know their politics, and we will have those conversations, but not at the game table. They're the guys that I'll also go get a drink with at the bar, and we'll sit there and talk about it. Yeah. But yeah, when I show up to the game table, I really don't care if you look like an alligator showing up to the table. If you can roll dice, you're good. Let's get started.
And that was the thing that okay, so when I first met Lynn, I knew, that he was of a particular persuasion and whatnot, because my buddy who introduced me was just like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, dude, I don't care. We're here to game. And, the first couple of sessions were uncomfortable, not because of I just sort of felt like he was uncomfortable with me, blah, blah, blah. But we had this moment where we, had a conversation, and I was just like, bro, this is how I feel. This is how you feel, but we're here to do this thing. And that's, dude, we ended up gaming for a decade. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we had this moment where when the Supreme Court passed the Obergefell decision, basically saying, gay marriage was what it was. And I laugh at this. I know some hardline conservatives are like, oh my God, it was a fucking travesty. I laugh. He comes in, he's got this gay pride shirt, he's giving me this side eye while I'm behind my DM screen, and I look at him and I go, you won, and then we got back to the game. You know what I mean? It was just this thing that we did.
Most of my, I'd say most, I've got a lot of players now, but a lot of my core group, we've been playing together for 11 years. I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue what they think. So I have no clue.
Isn't that awesome though? I've had the exact same experience with well, not everyone on my server. My server tends to lean right, but like if someone came to me privately on my gaming server, we're like, "Oh, hey, I'm a Hillary supporter or whatever," you know what I mean? Or I liked Barack Obama, whatever. I'd be like, "Oh, I didn't know." Like, I whatever, I don't care. Fucking play. Like, but the reason why I bring this up is because this fucking shit happens consistently in this goddamn industry. You got guys like James Radji of Lamentations of the Flame Princess, who is still to this fucking day dealing with it because Zach S. wrote the Nebulith with the latest release. And here you are, a fresh face, someone presenting something new, and you're fucking getting. I know it's not a big deal because it's fucking Reddit and no one listens to Reddit except for weirdos. But I don't know. The shit just pisses me off because it has the risk of stifling young, like yourself, creative voices, and we shouldn't.
I don't think you
allow
need to
that
worry
shit.
too much because the big talk at my table when I was making this was because a couple times I was like, "Oh my gosh, guys, I think I'm done. Can we just play this at the table? Like, I don't know if I want to finish this." And they were like, "No, because even if it's done, we're still playing the game. You'll at least have it for us." And I had, I've got a lot of really good players. I had some of them that they basically came to me and they're like, "Hey, we're going to pre-order the game," and I'm like, "Well, I don't know what I'm going to make it cost you." And they go, "Well, here's X amount of dollars." I'm like, "You can't give me that. I'm not. There's no way I'm going to make it cost that much." And he goes, "I don't care. Take it, or I'm going to leave it at your door." And I had some players like that, and I don't think the game would have gotten made had they not done that. Because obviously, printing your own booklets at the table or in your shed is a little hard. So, yeah, I mean, and like I said, I have no clue what they think about that kind of thing. We've just been playing together for a while. Obviously, some of the players, they've been childhood friends. So I've got one guy, I've been hanging out with him. We didn't start playing D&D until we were 15, but we were like 2-year-olds in the same like preschool or daycare or whatever, and we've been playing games ever since. We live halfway across the country now, and he still joins in the Discord and plays with us. So,
oh, that's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome. That's the thing I love about this hobby too. Like all my lifelong friends come from this hobby. Like I've had good friends that like are my buddies that like I've like zeroed in on and we've hung out. But once the situation that kind of created that relationship changed, like law school, for example, we drifted apart. Not that I have any negative feelings or anything, I wish them well. It's just like the situation that brought us together is no longer here. But something about RPGs, like all my lifelong friends come from this hobby. And that's, I think, another reason why I'm so vehemently pro free speech. I don't think you should fucking censor or gatekeep is a tough one. But,
yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to get too political. I just wanted to bring it up because
this was our first campaign map from high school, and we actually still have a yeah, we still have a portal to that world. So in the Borderlands.
Oh, bro, hold on to that because I've lost so much of my shit from back in the day.
Yeah, no, we tried to. Luckily I was smart and took a bunch of photo scans of a bunch of it back in the day. So, but I feel like half of the stuff we had with our original group we've lost over time and whatever. But that's sort of the core, because at the end of this, the gaming is really an excuse for you to hang out with some guys or girls and roll some dice and play a game. We could just as easily be playing poker on a Saturday night, but we all happen to be lovers of fantasy, and so we want to do these cool things. So when it comes to system, when it comes to mechanics, whatever excuse we can come up with is what we'll do. So
Matt, I
was just going to say that is a great segue to, I guess, kind of like concluding this. That's whatever conclusion of our conversation. However, Ultra gave us a $2 Rumble rant, and I want to highlight it real quick. Second favorite character I have is a human chronomancer, is Axel Johns, who is a big conspiracy theorist and is trying to take the Shadow Mage government. LOL, not gonna lie, he's kind of retarded.
Yeah, he
cool.
he messaged me and was like, you mentioned you got like lizard people in your world. I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, and you've got the Chronomancer class now. I was like, yeah. He's like, Alex Jones from the future. I was like, sure, go right ahead, dude. And no, it's funny. He just got mutated like 6 times in the world, so now he's like a plant person with 6 arms growing out his back. So he looks very different now, but. They wound up in the dead zone. That was last night actually, but yeah, no, I mean that's probably a good spot to start wrapping it up with that, and that it's all for the game of games is what our table calls it. The game of games.
I think that's a wonderful way to wrap it up. Actually, better than my original thought about wrapping up the game of games. Well, Matt, dude. You've been a revelation. We really appreciate it. You've got a great product here. In the description of this live stream is links to your drive-through and to your webpage. I wish you the best of luck. Radioactive Boogaloo. I started reading through it today.
We got Radioactive Boogaloo 2, Radioactive Tougaloo. And hey, don't worry. There will be a Radioactive Boogaloo 3, and the subtitle, Just When You Thought I Was Out of Ideas. So we got that.
I love it. I got to get you and Venger in the same room. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great game. I'm so excited for you, and please do not stop.
Yeah.
Do not stop.
No, Matt, this was a great conversation. Thanks a lot. My favorite conversations are the ones when I walk away from them and I'm excited to get back to the table. And and you did that. So thanks for that. Thanks for the game. I'm gonna get the box set, but every day, can we get McDonald's? Can we we got fucking new shoes, whatever the fuck. I will be getting it, but thank you very much for everything. And just most of all, just for your attitude. It's really refreshing to get somebody on here who's like, yeah, man, go have fun. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you guys. It was really good coming on here. I've been watching the channel for a little bit, so it was cool getting to actually meet you guys. And yeah, I mean, y'all come play we got another Stein game next month. We got some more stuff going on, so you two come join me.
Dude, that sounds like a lot of fun, and I will. Dude, I was telling Matt, I was complaining. Football season started. I got 3 kids on football teams. I'm fucking all over the city, supposed to be in 3 different places at once. But I will do what I can to get on that server, because watching you talk about your campaign is like watching a kid open up that Christmas gift they've been waiting for all year.
Yeah.
You know? So
well, that's the thing. Yeah, I don't.
Fun.
We've got sports in the Borderlands too. We got the Arena of Zor. Come play soccer with your enemy's head. You know.
Yeah. See, to my sport obsession. The secret to my sports obsession is 1, being from Texas, but 2, I like to gamble.
There you go.
All right. Matt, thank you so much for joining the second watch.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it. But guys, you know what time it is? Our watch has ended. Thank you so much. Next week, it's going to be Gary, everyone's favorite DM cloaker, Brian. We're going to be talking about downtime and some of the difficulties that we've been having, blah, blah, blah. So we hope to see you there. As always, we thank you for joining the conversation. Until next time, peace.
Bye, y'all.